So Dawn Jager with Acumatica, as you said, we're a proud sponsor of these webinars. We appreciate everybody who attends, and hopefully you're finding value in these. We always encourage our partners to do as much marketing as possible, but to do it smart, to net the most from those activities. So absolutely happy to help sponsor these, both for prospective partners and existing Acumatica partners, and anybody that has an interest in this topic.
Excellent. And this is Buck Flather over at HubSpot. Very happy to be here. Dawn, I think we mentioned this last time we were on a webinar with Adrian. We need to get a cool picture like she has up there. I mean, she's got this cool action shot of her skiing, and we got nothing. We got a couple of graphics of our company logo. That's not fun.
We'll have to fix that.
We'll have to fix that. But I've been at HubSpot a long time, kind of since the beginning of HubSpot and kind of inbound marketing, this kind of movement that we have. And I'm really excited about the topic today because kind of this topic of blogging is really the fuel in the inbound marketing engine, right? Content is king. It still is king. It's going to be king for a long time. Your thought leadership in your particular space, whatever it may be, is huge. What you're bringing to the table is what your prospective clients are looking for, that secret sauce. So excited for the topic today. Look forward to the discussion. And as Adrian said, please raise your hand with any and all questions. We're happy to answer anything we can. If we don't know the answer, we'll go off and find it for you and make sure we get back to you.
Thank you, too, for that. So we'll go ahead and move along here with the next slide. Just a little introduction to ERPVAR and who we are. ERPVAR was started back in 2012, and Kathy Graham and myself started ERPVAR. We have 19 years experience in this market, and we know that sometimes it takes a village to really raise the type of awareness for the VARs out there. By participating on one platform, ERPVAR, we're able to publish a blog every day. That's our goal, is to publish a blog every day and share that blog through social media, so that the power of the community can get behind the driving authority to each individual blog and getting it found out there in that vast social media universe, which helps with search engine optimization, helps with referral traffic, which we're going to talk about, and it helps become popular, which is what ultimately search engine optimization is all about. And just a little bit about our experience. Kathy worked at Avalara for several years, which is market share leading sales tax automation software. I'm sure everybody has heard of Avalara. She also worked for Intuit, the leading entry-level accounting solution. QuickBooks Enterprise was her product that she represented. And I worked for a channel partner, much like the ERP VARs that are attending today. DeRosa Mangold Consulting for 4 years from 2005 to 2009. So started a sales and marketing company that catered to ERP VARs in 2009, and then realized that it would be great if we could start something where everyone could leverage one another's relationships over social media. And in 2012, that's why we started ERPVAR, so that we could get everybody together and leverage, relationships are key, and to get introduced to others is really the name of the game in any piece of marketing. So in networking, but also that holds true with inbound marketing too. The more influential you are as a person, the more your word will go to reinforce someone else's solution. So getting those influencers behind you and understanding who those influencers are is what can spread the word about your good services much faster. So some of our clients are V Technologies, Scanco, APS Merchants, Clients First, and E2B Technologies, and many, many more. So we're going to talk about successful ERP software bloggers and how they become successful and what they focus on. And so this is the agenda. So we're going to be talking about when you blog, right? When you write that blog, when you take the time to map out your message, you want to understand how well it does from generating traffic from social media, and you also want to know how frequently do you need to post your content to social media for it to make a difference, right? So that your efforts can maintain themselves and you're consistent. So how often do you really need to keep that content posted to social media? So which one of our blog post subjects get the most social traffic? We'll talk about that. What types of subjects get the most social traffic? And we'll also talk about measuring how widely top blogs are being shared on social media and what that means. We're also going to talk about the top 10 influencers who share our content on ERPVAR and how much traffic is generated from search and how intertwined search engine optimization is with generating blogs and publishing them through social media, and how important that is to get search engine authority and to be found. So how intertwined search engines are with social media, and then how often successful business bloggers publish blog posts on ERPVAR. We'll talk a little bit about that. And then it's so important to have calls to action in each of your blogs that will go in line with the subject matter of the blog, so that you can get people to click on your button, download your white paper, register for your webinar, whatever action you want them to take when they see your blog, because you took so much time to create this compelling piece of content. You want to be able to capture that visitor's information if possible, so that you can build your relationship with them through nurture marketing or inviting them to future events, or just understand who they are, maybe connect with them on social media, and just start building that relationship. So our first order on the agenda is we want to measure how much traffic is coming from social media. And I'm so happy to have Buck on the call today, because we just so happen to use HubSpot to measure all of our traffic and measure our analytics. So this just so happens to be a screenshot, and hopefully everybody can see it, of our social media traffic on ERPVAR. This is all live data from ERPVAR. So when we did the calculations, on average at ERPVAR, our top 50 ERPVAR blogs are getting less than 7% of their total traffic from social media. So what does that mean? Oh, social media doesn't work, or we should just drop social media. Buck, did you have anything to maybe comment on about this slide, and maybe some of the traffic that HubSpot gets from social media? I don't know if you guys have any analytics along those lines.
Yeah, for sure, for sure. So I think the important thing that Adrian's kind of touching on here is that if you're going to spend the time, the calories, the effort to create content, you want to be able to get that content out to as broad of an audience as possible, and also, just as this slide is showing, kind of measure what's happening, right? Measure where the traffic's coming from, what's being the most beneficial, because what you want to be able to do is double down on the stuff that's driving that effort and kill the stuff that isn't. In this instance, it'd be interesting to take a look at kind of where the other traffic is coming from that's driving people to your blog, whether that's organic traffic, whether that's an email send that you might be doing to promote your blogging efforts. But I think what this really outlines is if you can't grade, graph, rank, or score something, that's the big differentiator between inbound marketing and really traditional marketing, right? Hey, I went to a trade show. My phone rang a little bit more. Let's go to that trade show next year, right? We want to be able to quantifiably be saying, hey, here's the ROI that I've driven off of this activity, and to show whether it's worth it or not. So really important to keep your eye on the numbers here.
So, and I want the audience just to pay attention. We do not track our customers. So we do not flip over when somebody becomes an ERPVAR customer. So just disregard the customers. But if you are an ERPVAR out there and you did use something like this, like HubSpot, there's several different inbound marketing softwares. We're not just here to pitch a HubSpot, but we are here to really adhere to the HubSpot inbound marketing principles because they are the market leaders for inbound marketing and they have excellent educational material. They have become the experts. And so we follow their principles, and we just so happen to use their software tool to automate the analytics portion of what's going on behind our activities. But ultimately, you have to make the effort to create the blogs and make the effort to create the relationships, to get those blogs connected with people out in social media that are going to like, comment, share, and then maybe reference your blogs in their own materials, which creates that search engine optimization that you ultimately want. So we're going to talk about that a little bit later. But this is a minute amount of our traffic, but this is the primary reason why we get the other 93% of our traffic is the social media sharing that we're doing, and we'll show you that further on in the presentation. And Dawn, I know that you guys over at Acumatica use HubSpot too, and I'd be interested, I don't know if you have any of those analytics, but I'd be interested if you see some of the same statistics here with LinkedIn bringing more of your visits back to your website than any other social media. Do you know if, I know you're not directly with marketing, but I wondered if you had any insight on that, maybe in meetings.
Well, I don't know exactly what the statistics are on that and what's driving most of it, but I know we do a tremendous amount of social media in general, and to amplify messages, I think this is something that we've actually at my suggestion, I just figured we do so much blogging and we have so many industry analysts that are commenting and winning awards and things like that, that pretty much on a daily basis, anything that we do that's social media oriented, we'll amplify that, we'll send it out to all of the employees at Acumatica, and our partners can subscribe to this too, so that if you want to share on Twitter, all you do is click a link and it's there and all ready for you to send out without, it literally takes about a second or two of effort. Or if you're sending out something on Twitter, Facebook, LinkedIn, whatever your social media preference of choice is, we're going to try to make it easy for you to amplify that. So I know a lot of the rest of the traffic that goes to our site, we do pay-per-click advertising, and we're connected with a lot of other sites that'll drive visitors back to our site. But I mean, the good news is, as a channel-only vendor, all the leads that are generated as a result go out to our partners. So we encourage our partners to do the same thing. And now, in our partners' efforts to amplify messages and to do their own blogging, we now have the capability to have a link from a partner's website go to our website. We'll know where that was originated from, so the lead will be captured and sent back to the partner. So there's no confusion as to, okay, well, I might have put Acumatica on my site, and then I go to Acumatica and it goes to somebody different. So we've eliminated that as an issue, and it just helps the partners in general.
And that just helps everybody leverage each other's relationships too. So some companies could have a lot more relationships on Twitter So Twitter might be their best social network, or Facebook. It just depends on the relationships you have, the industry you're in, and who's paying attention in those social media and actually sharing the content. So obviously for ERPVAR, for our specific website and the relationships that we have sharing our content, LinkedIn is by far, for ERPVAR, the most successful social network. So I just wanted to point that out. And then Buck, over there at HubSpot, you guys probably, do really well with Twitter and Facebook too. And it just depends on how many people are in your universe. And HubSpot just has grown and grown and grown. And so obviously you're going to just naturally get, a ton more traffic than we're reflecting here because of all the millions and millions of dollars that you spend on your marketing and hiring people and building relationships. So it's all about the relationships. I think I just want to bring it back down to that.
Yeah, and I think on that point, Adrian, is the ability to leverage. Let's say you're a small company, right? I think most of the folks on the line here today might be kind of in that SMB, small, medium-sized business type of space, right? So it's really important in those organizations to leverage kind of every asset that you have, right? And the ability to, when you as a company create content, to automatically share that with your management team, or if it's a really small company, just everybody at the company, your sales team, share it with their social networks, right? These are things that you're passionate about, that people that you talk to or maybe are following you on social media care about. So really leveraging those opportunities to expand that net and cast it as far and wide as possible. Really important.
Because each and every one of us have strong relationships that we can bring to the table, and those strong relationships are really what help you in driving the social media authority that's required to get those social signals on the search engines and get those top referral sites to pick up your content and reference it, and then get your keywords optimized for whatever keywords in the search engines. You'll see by far later on in the presentation, we get most far and wide our traffic from the search engines. So why this does not mean you should ignore social media. So here's a few points that reinforce why, since we just discussed that only 7% of our traffic comes from social media, you saw that there were a lot of conversions there from social media in the first place. And that social media is a place where you can connect with your audience, and you can build those relationships and find your audience and build more relationships and have those relationships introduce you to other relationships. And it's just an incredible opportunity to find those influencers, those names and of just individuals whose opinion in our industry goes a long way. And once they give you, the thumbs up or the approval, then other people will tend to follow. So it's a great place to publish your content. And if you do any advertising on social media, it's really easy to hone in on your target market, exactly the CEOs of medical distribution companies, if you wanted just to get to those guys. LinkedIn is a fantastic place for placing ads for ERP. So it's a place to get found, publish your content, become a thought leader, and become that expert in the field, so that everyone can take your content and share your content because they want to be associated with such a positive piece of content. So, and the name of the game is really getting those high influential websites like TechTarget, PM Stack Exchange, Software Advice to find your content and refer traffic back to your website, because they get 200,000 to 300,000 visits a month refer traffic back to your website by way of a hyperlink because they thought that your blog was so good that they want to reinforce the point that they're making in their own blog or their own page. So they reference your blog that you wrote by way of a hyperlink. So that pushes a lot of traffic back to your website, which we'll show you, which then in turn gets your website more authoritative in the search engines, and just naturally, with no work at all, once those blogs are seated in the search engines, you just get traffic from it. So which ERPVAR social media networks generate the most traffic? So we wanted to definitely hone in on the point that the top 50 ERPVARs are getting more than 85% of their total social media traffic from LinkedIn. I think we showed that on the other slide, but I wanted to point out here, Twitter, Facebook, and Google Plus just hasn't resonated with our audience yet. And it just might be that the folks that we have sharing our content just aren't playing in these social media networks as much. And they're paying more attention over here on LinkedIn, and there's such opportunity with LinkedIn, with the groups and all the different groups associated with thousands and thousands of members, and it's a lot of business related content on LinkedIn, so it's more of a professional network. ERP is a business software, so naturally we can assume that LinkedIn is going to be our best place to publish our content, but we don't ignore these others. We still publish the same content to the other social media networks. We're just getting much more traffic from LinkedIn. And Buck, did you have anything to add here? Maybe you had some pointers for us on Twitter, Facebook, or Google Plus that we might be missing?
No, I think that it definitely is a nice overview of that, Adrian. I think that the big thing is being able to see where you're getting the engagement, right? That's super important because that's going to allow you to know, hey, and even more so than just followers, right? If you track it down to, people that, looked at your content or actually converted on your content and turned into a lead for you, or ultimately, and I know you're not tracking this on the ERPVAR side, but tracking it down to the customer level, HubSpot's actually looked at it, and we actually see a lot better engagement in terms of the conversion into a lead from LinkedIn, but we actually see a better conversion from lead to customer on Twitter, which is really interesting, right? So maybe we want to do a little bit more work on that middle of the funnel conversion within the Twitter side of things. So really understanding the analytics and what's happening behind the scenes really helps you to figure out what your next step should be. So,
perfect.
Good stuff.
So how frequently do we post ERP content to social media? Well, this is just our social calendar for ERPVAR, and it just reviews, every day we're posting something to social media. And so, we have 60 more events than just these two showing. It just can't scroll down to 60 more events, but that just means 65 more social media messages to different social media profiles were posted on Monday. So, and we're 82 on Tuesday, 33 on Wednesday. So we're really working it. We're really trying to get our content in front of the right audiences so that it does get picked up by those high profile websites and we can achieve our search engine optimization goals. So it just takes a lot of consistency in staying in front of the audience and just being relentless with that. So this is just an illustration. I don't know what happened here on the 10th, but we usually do it every day. And then so measure which blog posts get the most social traffic. You want to know who are your star performers. And so I don't know how many of you out there participate with ERPVAR. It looks like a few of you. I see Lindsay. We create campaigns for each of our partners who are participating with us. And MantraLogix is showing here as our top traffic generator. As far as their campaign is concerned, the blogs that they've written for us and that we've published out there to social media has generated 521 visits just from social media this year. We've converted 1.3% of those contacts, or 1.3 of those visitors into contacts. And then we can click over and look at those contacts. No campaign would be something like, we've written on ERPVAR, so it's not associated with a partner. And then Southeast looks like they're second. Mike Renner, very small partner out in Palm Springs, but does a lot of blogging about Sage 100, how to create a credit memo. He's just consistent, and if you talk to Mike Renner, you'll hear that he's gotten 3 or 4 customers from working with us. And we're really his only marketing that he does, and he just consistently blogs, probably gives us a blog every month, and it's just a how-to article. And I think he just signed up one of a large franchise because they just watched him in social media and followed him and decided to contact him and say it's time. And I think it was Goodwill. It's one of the big Goodwill franchises. So he calls us and he tells us every time somebody contacts him from one of his blogs, and he thanks us. But it just takes some work. So we've had 199 visits back to ERPVAR from his work that he's done. And E2B Technologies has written a blog or two this year, and that's generated 184 visits. They were participating maybe every month on average, maybe 2 a month. So we'll see that later on in the presentation that the earlier blogs that E2B has given us generated a lot of traffic from social media early on, but now there are top blogs, the earlier ones from 2014 and 2013, for generating search traffic. So it kind of takes that long for the search traffic to build up because you're laying your breadcrumbs, and the more breadcrumbs you lay, and the more they become seeded in the search engines, and the more referral traffic you have pointing back to those blogs, those blogs can be your top traffic generators just from the search engines, even though you're not even sharing them with social media anymore, just because they've been picked up. So it just takes a while, and we'll show you how that works a little bit later on in the presentation. And then Dawn, you know what, I was curious, do you have any of your partners participating as guest bloggers on Acumatica?
Yeah, as a matter of fact, today I was just out on our site and I saw that there were comments out on our website from partners on our blogs, and then we also invite partners to publish content and work with us on a blog that gets posted on our site too. So yes, that's 2 ways of doing that, but yes, we do.
Which is a huge, I can't accentuate this enough, a huge opportunity for partners. If they're an Acumatica partner and they want to, and you guys are optimizing for Cloud ERP, it's obvious, in all your hyperlinks you have Cloud ERP. If those partners wrote a blog on your website and put Cloud ERP in a hyperlink back to a page on their own website, that blog on your website has authority, way more authority than the partners could have, just because they don't have as much resources as Acumatica. And writing a blog on your website that gets indexed in the search engines will push more traffic back to the partner's website, most likely, than just posting it on their own website. So, and if it does get picked up by the search engines, you could see that Acumatica would be your #1 referral partner because you posted that one blog on Acumatica that went viral. And it has more potential to go viral on Acumatica because there are more eyeballs on Acumatica's website. So if it's compelling content and you're posting it on a website like Acumatica, that's huge opportunity for you.
Great. Thank you for putting that out there. I don't think all the vendors do that, but we're happy to.
So yeah, that's a great way for everyone to have a win-win and everyone to get those leads that you're looking for. So number 3 on our agenda, measure which blog posts get the most social traffic. So since we're sticking with Mantra Logics, this is some of the subjects that Mantra Logics has posted with us. And on the previous slide, we saw that they get the most social traffic on their campaign. So we just picked their campaign, and now we're displaying their blog content that they have shared on ERPVAR. So it looks like the Sage X3 consultant tip, like the tips and tricks blogs, are really good. And this was shared to one group on LinkedIn. And that one group on LinkedIn, which was the Sage X3 Worldwide Community, I believe, this was published on August 11th. And it's already gotten 55 clicks from that one group in LinkedIn. So that shows me that there's a lot of engagement in that group, and that when you help that group along, and when you always have that always be helping attitude, when you help that group along with, customization patches in Sage X3, they tend to pick that content up and obviously click back to it. So that's just one group on LinkedIn. And then they have another Sage X3 consultant, how to set up user access control. So here I can see that they're trying to optimize for Sage X3 consultant. And they're getting a lot of traffic back from those groups on LinkedIn for those how-to blogs. So it's really helping ERPVAR get that traffic back. And then just wanted to remind the everybody out there, all of you familiar faces, that if you do have any questions, please click on that question mark button, and we'll go ahead and announce your question as we're going along here, because we'd love to have that collaboration if you have any questions about any of this. So it just looks like they have some really compelling content, but a lot of it is about their core competency and what they've really decided to take on, which is the Sage X3 product. So they've had 724 social messages, so 724 individual social profiles have shared this content, and it's generated, out of those social messages, we've generated 65 visits back from Facebook, 348 visits back from Twitter, and 536 back from LinkedIn. So number 4, measure how widely our top blogs are being shared on social media. So again, if we do this year to date, it's that one Sage X3 consultant tip, customization patches in Sage X3. We've gotten 55 clicks, and interactions are really what we're looking for too, because that means that an interaction constitutes a like, a share, a comment, and we want those interactions. That shows that we have engagement on that blog. So it might be some other advice as well, or it might be somebody pointing back to their website saying, hey, I have more information about this. So it's a huge opportunity to go in there and, write comments and try and push traffic back to your website from these more popular blogs as well. Supply chain management integration with Sage 300 and Sage Inventory Advisor. That was from Mantra Logics. So here's just some more where we see the actual profile that's sharing the content. And so this is I believe, the X3 worldwide community. This is Sage ERP Solutions. Again, this is the Sage Worldwide Community, I believe, Sage X3 Worldwide Community. This is a company page of a document management company. And this, again, is another one of those Sage X3 groups. And then this is Carrie Gardner over at Sage Software. who's sharing some information about his Sage partners. So we want to determine who our top 10 influencers are sharing content on all the different social networks, right? So this one just talks about Twitter, right? So if we go into our HubSpot and we look at the reporting on our connected platforms, we can see for the selected time, 813 messages contain links and received 1,688 clicks from Twitter this year to date. And that's 2.1 clicks per message, better than 29% of HubSpot customers with a similar number of fans and followers. So that's an interesting statistic to know. So we also had 263 interactions, and that's 0.3 interactions per message. So it just takes a lot of effort to get stuff out there to get some interactions. And this is telling us that ACI Consulting is the Sage 100 partner, had the most clicks for our selected time frame. And this was a webinar actually for Sage 100, and it was a collaborative webinar with multiple vendors. I think V Technologies, APS Merchants, Website Pipeline. It was a post-summit webinar, and our just one Twitter profile was able to get those 12 clicks back. But this just gives you an idea of, the larger bar graph pieces here represent our more influential shares. So here's all the people who we shared through, and these are the results of their sharing. So what I wanted to do is just show you, since LinkedIn is our most popular network, I wanted to show you live data from HubSpot, from LinkedIn. So I'm going to go ahead and just show you my screen. So here's LinkedIn. This is just LinkedIn. I filtered all the other channels out. So we have 560 LinkedIn social channels that we can publish through, and that's including the LinkedIn groups. And here for the selected time period, we published 2,599 messages to the selected channels. So that's, almost daily, going in and publishing content to the targeted channels that content we believe would be received on. So this is just showing, all the different profiles and how many different messages were posted to those profiles. But if we scroll down here, here's what we find our followers thought. So for the selected time frame, 2,599 messages contain links and received 1,392 clicks. So that's 0.5 clicks per message. So our messages had 299 interactions. That means, people, 299 likes, shares, comments. So that's 0.1 interactions per messages. So that just means, we either need more compelling content, or we just need to keep doing it, keep pushing our content out there on a daily basis. And some of our content will be more popular and more engaging than our other content, but we want to just stay in front of that audience. So here we can see which groups and profiles on LinkedIn were the most influential for us. So here we see with the large green here, Sage ERP X3. Let's see what this group was. Sage ERP Solutions, Sage ERP X3 again, Sales Tax Cafe. I think we just shared one blog that Arxis gave us that actually was written by Avalera and given to Arxis, and we shared it on the Sales Tax Cafe, and it brought back 41 visits back into that blog. So we can see what kind of traffic is being generated by the different groups and the different profiles that we're sharing to on LinkedIn. So all the numbers behind here in January, Kathy Graham gave us 6, just her profile on LinkedIn gave us 6 visits back. So it really does take a village. I kind of just want to hit that home. It really does take a village to get the message posted by the right person that has influence with that right LinkedIn group where people will want to click on it because they know that that person knows what they're talking about. They're an expert. They're not just promoting themselves, and they want to read the content. I think that's the message I want to really hit home here. And then with 56 clicks, this message received the most clicks for the selected time frame. So Sage X3 consultant tip, customization patches in Sage X3. Look at that. So that was our Mantra Logics blog again, posted to the Sage X3 community. And then we had 299 interactions. So that means mentions, replies, comments, likes, plus ones, and retweets. Well, these don't really apply here because we're only talking about LinkedIn because I've filtered out everything else. So this is mentions, comments, replies on our LinkedIn messages. So here we got 8 of those in our Sage ERP solutions. We got 5 just off of my postings. Accounting Software Selection is another group in LinkedIn with thousands of members. We happen to manage that group, and we got 4 in January. ERP Community, we got 4. So these are, where people are really engaged in writing something or liking it. So some of the content we posted to QuickBooks, and the ICM document management solution seems to be doing really well for us. They're one of our newer partners, and they're allowing us to publish our ERP-related content to their company page. So we're getting lots of interaction there. So it's not just about you, or your company, I think, is really the message. It's about the community.
I think that's a huge, and can't be understated point, Adrian, is that you're not, when you're thinking about your social media activity, it's not a commercial for your company or your service. It's you talking about the industry, the space that you're in, and where you think you as an expert it's going, why people should really think about it maybe in a different way. You're not trying to sell yourself, you're trying to always be helping. That's kind of the tagline that you mentioned earlier in the conversation, and it's certainly true here. You always want to be not necessarily selling, just like if you think about a cocktail party, right? If you showed up at a cocktail party and somebody just said hi and just started talking about themselves, you wouldn't be really interested in that person, right? It's about a dialogue that you're having. Same thing with your social media process. You always want to be helping your community that you're talking to.
And that's a great message. I think Saturday Night Live has a great comic routine about that. It always makes me laugh. The lady at the party.
You should get a hyperlink to that next time. Yeah.
We'll put a clip on that because she always just talks about herself, and it's so funny.
Enough about you. What about me?
Yeah, it's hilarious.
It is good.
So I love that show. Anyway, so here's the impact on your business. So what happened with all this work that we did for the selected time frame? You gained 1,207 net new fans and followers, and it generated 3,671 visits to our website from social media. Yay! So we gained 66 new contacts that clicked over to our conversion forms from our call to actions. Brand net new contacts that saw our messages on social media. And so that generated 1,207 net new fans and followers. And we can see right here where they came from. So our net new followers came to this is an Intact partner with 119 net new followers. MSI Data. And this isn't just our work that we're doing here. They also publish their own content to their company pages. We're just tracking it because they've allowed us to publish through their social profiles and their and they're being measured through us. So this is just taking into account all the net new followers. But we generated 66 new contacts, so new leads for whatever it was that we were offering in exchange for contact information, whether it was a webinar, a white paper, what have you. We got 66 just from social media. So social media does work. And then here you see we have 3,671 visits, and then you kind of see that bar graph of LinkedIn again and where the traffic's coming from. And then here's the 66 net new contacts. So 15 of them came in June, so we must have had something really compelling in June that gave us 15 or the most contacts in an individual month. So I'm going to go ahead and go back to the presentation. Bear with me here. Okay. So determine who our top 10 influencers are sharing content on ERPVAR and Facebook. I could take you through that whole slide again, but obviously Facebook had minimal visits compared to LinkedIn. So I'm just going to share with you, the top Facebook profiles that we have, which is ERPVAR and ICEPS, which is a Navision partner out of Philadelphia. And here's the most popular Facebook blog. Is that same one, Sage 100, how to automate order processing, and that was posted to the ERPVAR Facebook page. I just want to make a comment to everyone that we don't do any paid advertising, so none of this is paid. This is all just organic traffic. So 11 of our profiles that we share from, 11 of the 611 profiles we can share from are from Facebook, so obviously that's going to be a weaker channel for us. We just don't have as many profiles there either. So that's not exactly giving Facebook a bad rep there. It's just not fair. If we had more Facebook channels, then thus we'd have more reach. How much traffic is generated from search and why? So I believe we have E2B on the E2B Technologies on the line with us today, and they are viewing this. Congratulations, you guys! You're our top blogger. And if we take a closer look into this blog and some of the analytics toward this blog, you see that so far this year to date, this blog has gotten 7,280 views. It's optimized for 11 of the keywords that we're focused on optimizing for, and we have 5 inbound links coming back into the this blog. So that means that it's been picked up by those high-profile referral websites that we want to be picked up by. So let's drill in a little bit more into the data of that for this particular blog post. So it's gotten 7,280 views. So please disregard the submissions, new contacts, and customers. There are 0 call to actions in this blog for ERPVAR. All the call to actions go back to E2B Technologies. So that's where they're going to see the submissions, new contacts, and customers. That's where they're going to track. This is a guest blog by them, and this was solely for the reason to stay in front of their audience in social media and then also get picked up by those referral websites, but they have links going right back to E2B Technologies, which is driving the authority for this back to their website. And this is doing exactly what we want our guest blogs to do, is generate traffic for not only ERPVAR, but also for our partner. So 6,276 of our visits this year are attributed to this blog being indexed in the search engines for the keyword terms that this blog is about, ERP implementation strategies. So even though this blog was written in 2013, it's still our top blog every month as far as traffic, because we're just getting that search engine traffic coming back to the blog. And we have 192 visits from the referrals from those high-profile websites that I was referring to, and we only have 9 visits this year because we haven't shared this again. I bet you if we share it again, we'll get much more visits. but only 9 visits from social media. But this is what happens when the highly authoritative websites see your blog because of our wide reach on LinkedIn, and then they decide, hey, I'm writing a blog about that. I want to use this as reference material in my blog, and I get 200,000 visits a month. So now this blog ultimately becomes search engine optimized because of the network that we have and the wide reach that we have to send things through. And if we look at the next page here, we'll see all of those referral websites. So Bing has sent us 48 direct visits. TechTarget, a high-profile website in our market, has sent us 47. 25, but what this is doing is sending the search engines the information that, hey, these high profile websites are highly authoritative and have earned a great reputation, and they say that this blog should be profiled in our search engine. So our algorithm is going to automatically pick up this blog because these other websites say this blog should have authority. Buck, do you have anything to add there from a HubSpot standpoint?
I think a point that you kind of touched on, right, is the fact that this content that you're creating can be repurposed down the road, right? It's not just a publish once, but you had touched on a point where, hey, if we actually republish this or re-promoted it, right, this content is what we would call at HubSpot or at Inbound Marketing, kind of evergreen content, right? The fact that it's going to provide dividends for you down the road, and you can, kind of sprinkle some water or spruce that content up and breathe some new life into it. It's not that you have to recreate the wheel here, some touches up around your SEO or the target audience that you're trying to reach, email promotion around your blog content. That's a really important point. Some of the best HubSpot, lead producing and customer producing blog posts that we've done have been done years ago. Top 10 tricks to search Google like an expert is something that's provided still to this day as a 10-year-old company. I think we produced that blog post probably 8 years ago anyway, and it still produces hits for us and contacts and leads. So
it's just been seeded. It's been seeded in the search
exactly.
engines, and that produces way more traffic from the search engines probably than from anywhere else. I would imagine.
Exactly. Yep. Super important.
So we're running out of time here, so I'm going to try and run through this again. So how often successful bloggers publish blogs on ERPVAR? Again, this is Mantralogics. So we already went through all of this, but here's how often they publish. We didn't focus on how often, but they publish since they're our #1 social media traffic source. This one was published. They probably publish every 2 weeks with us on average. They really see that we're a great opportunity for them to get some of that referral traffic back from us. We're sending them that search engine optimization from our website that we're getting from those other authoritative websites because we do publish a blog every day. And so we have become an authority. And so every time you publish a blog on ERPVAR, that will drive authority back to your website. And it's all a chain, everybody's related, and you're leveraging those relationships. And then here's some of the calls to actions that have been embedded in the blogs or that are on the sidebars of our website. And so this gives you some of the conversion details on those call to actions. You want to have a call to action on every single piece of content that you write on on every single blog that you write. You want to think of a call to action to go along with it so that you can drive back those submissions on forms and get that contact information so that you can nurture them in the future. So it's very important to have those call to actions. And the rule of thumb with call to actions is to keep it 2 words or less. These are a little bit more. So we might want to have why implementation projects fail and that separate, click for ebook maybe would just be the call to action there if we can improve upon best practices, and that's had 59 submissions. So this just tells us that, you know, our call to actions are working. And so the name of the game, again, is to write compelling content, get high page authority in your industry on industry related websites that reference your blog with a link in their material. And we want to share blogs with as many targeted social media accounts as possible, including LinkedIn groups like we've shown. And in summary, publish consistently and use a tool like we showed today. It doesn't have to be HubSpot. We obviously love HubSpot. We're HubSpot certified partners, but you have to measure, measure, measure. And here's our contact information. And I would like to, we do have some questions here. What's the best way to repurpose content from an SEO standpoint? So, Buck, do you guys have best practices over there for rewriting content so it's not duplicate, but also achieving the same type of results maybe from a previous blog? Is it rewriting the content 30% is what I've heard? Do you have insight on that question?
That's a good question. Yeah, I'd say at least 30%. The last thing you want to be doing is blamed on plagiarizing somebody else's content online, and you'd be surprised how A, often that happens, and B, how often people get caught doing it. So you definitely want to be careful there with kind of taking somebody else's content and repurposing it as your own without really adding your own sense of voice to it. And I think that's kind of the underlying theme is what you really want to do is add your opinion to this, right? It's okay to cite somebody else's content, but then take that content and say, hey, here's my thoughts on what they're talking about. So almost do it that way, right? So here's a great blog post, almost link to the post, paraphrase the post, and then add your own value to it.
And I do have a poll up here. If I could ask you to just give us an answer to this poll, just take 1 second. Are you interested in learning more about any of the following? Check all that apply. Acumatica Partner Program, ERPVAR Inbound Marketing Services, HubSpot Inbound Marketing Automation Software, and you can click multiple options there. So we really appreciate your participation in answering this poll. And let's see, it looks like Dawn might have had to run off. So she asked me to say her goodbyes for her, Dawn with Acumatica. We so appreciate Acumatica sponsoring these webinars and helping us educate the audience. So she says her farewells. She just had to duck out because it is 11 o'clock and we are at the hour. And Buck, did you have any other closing comments that you'd like to make? Thank you so much for joining us today and adding your input. As always, it's so appreciated.
Yeah, my pleasure. Happy to join, and thanks for having me. No, I think it's just the underlying theme here is that if you're thinking about leveraging your online presence to help you with lead generation, the way to do that, the only way, the fuel in that engine is to create good, compelling content. And a blog's your easiest way to do that. So I think those are the kind of takeaways that I'd say.
And my associate, Kathy Graham, she wants to make sure that I make this comment that blog from E2B, our top blog, has had over 19,000 visits over its lifetime, but just 7,000 visits this year. So we were just taking year to date. And so that blog is by far our top blog every month. And that's just from the search engine. So I just wanted to thank everybody for joining us and taking this hour out of your day. We really do appreciate your participation. Enjoy your weekend, and thanks again, Buck. Appreciate it.
Absolutely, my pleasure.
All right, take care, everybody.
Have a great day, guys. Bye-bye.
All right, bye-bye.